Liverpool fans, there's a lot to talk about today. Andoni Iraola has made a major transfer promise. Endrick has responded to Liverpool interest. And Alexander Isak is facing a huge £125 million challenge on his return to Newcastle. Plus, there's a shock McAllister to Man City idea and a major update on Liverpool's next transfer target. Let's get straight into the latest Reds news. Liverpool news. Andoni Iraola makes transfer promise as Endrick responds to interest. Liverpool are primed for a very busy final week of the summer transfer window as Andoni Iraola prepares for his Premier League debut with the club at Newcastle. Liverpool have a hectic weekend on their plate as they look to juggle transfer business with the small matter of their Premier League curtain raiser. The Reds travel to St James's Park to face Newcastle on Sunday as Alexander Isak is reunited with his old club. Andoni Iraola has arrived at Anfield this summer under a wave of expectation. Arne Slot's second campaign on Merseyside was largely a failure, despite qualifying for the Champions League, and Iraola hopes to put the club back in the frame for title contention. More movement is likely required through the arrivals gate in order to make that a reality, however. Mirror Football has compiled the latest transfer headlines around the club ahead of Sunday's clash against the Magpies. Endrick says no to Liverpool. Real Madrid forward Endrick has reportedly turned down interest from Liverpool to fight for his place under Jose Mourinho. The Brazilian is expected to be in for a battle for game time after returning to Madrid following a successful loan at Lyon. Endrick, 20, contributed 8 goals and 8 assists in 21 appearances in France last season. The forward hoped to return to Spain with new prospects to star for Los Blancos, only to see his chances dampened by the arrival of Yan Diomande. Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe are automatic starters for Real and account for 2 of the 3 main attacking positions. That leaves £100 million signing Diomande as the most likely name to fill out the remaining slot on the right. Real also have winger Rodrigo, who is currently recovering from injury but is reported to be in Mourinho's plans. Yet despite that gauntlet of competition at the Bernabeu, ESPN has reported Endrick fancies his chances. The youngster could have been an ideal signing for Iraola, given he could provide cover for Alexander Isak up front, while also being an option on the right. Liverpool have yet to replace club legend Mohamed Salah following his expedited exit this summer. The Reds have also had a £50 million offer for Brighton winger Yankuba Minte rejected this week, though they're expected to return with an improved offer. Iraola promises more signings. Liverpool fans look set to see an uptick in transfer business over the next week after Iraola promised more signings. The Spaniard has acknowledged his squad looks thin at present and said on Friday there will definitely be more arrivals. The club has already moved to sign Ronald Araujo on loan from Barcelona following Joe Gomez's injury in pre-season. However, there are still concerns over the lack of depth at right-back, given Conor Bradley's fitness issues, while Curtis Jones has headed for Inter Milan. That could mean Liverpool make a move for a new midfielder between now and the transfer deadline on September 1st. Regardless of position, however, Iraola has guaranteed more activity. We will definitely sign some players. Some deals you have to wait until the end, he told Sky Sports. But the end is the important picture, the one we will have on September 1st, because it is true that we are still quite thin. The main priority for many will be a successor to Salah on the right flank. Rio and the Mohar is expected to get more game time on that side of the pitch, while Victor Munoz can play on his less favoured wing too. Why Liverpool should consider trading Alexis McAllister to Man City for $68 million star. Manchester City is reportedly considering a move for Alexis McAllister, with the midfielder having just 2 years left on his contract, with an intriguing option for Liverpool to consider. Liverpool is expected to reject any advances from Manchester City for Alexis McAllister this summer. It's claimed City is interested in the Argentinian midfielder, but with 2 years left on his contract and the chance that the club will repeat its mistakes with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Ibrahima Konate, the Reds could consider a different approach. McAllister was one of Liverpool's best performing players in its Premier League winning season under Arne Slot in 2024-25, but his level of play fell immensely last season. At just 27 years old, he looked a little too lethargic at times, struggling greatly defensively while offering very little in attack. The Argentine delivered strong performances at the World Cup, but also faced similar criticism in some games, leading some fans to question whether now is the right time for the club to sell him. And with City knocking on the door, a rarely seen player-for-player trade could benefit both clubs. Almost every Liverpool fan will agree that the team needs a recognisable defensive midfielder. While Trey Nyoni is set to take a step up this season, asking him to play that role does not feel optimal, being at his best when playing box-to-box rather than sitting in front of the defence. The club has been overly reliant on Ryan Gravenberch in the past 2 seasons, who is also capable of playing as a number 8 as well as a number 6, with ball retention being his main quality over his defensive awareness. One player who could fill this need for Liverpool is City's Spanish midfielder Nico Gonzalez, who arrived from Porto in a £50 million, $68 million transfer in February 2025. Despite the club selling Rodri to Barcelona, City is set to replace him with Ayoub Boadi from Lille in a $116 million transfer. The club has also signed Elliot Anderson in that position, while also using Rico Lewis, Mateus Nunes, Mateo Kovacic and Nico O'Reilly in defensive midfield at times. The club has not closed the door on selling Nico despite Rodri leaving, with Newcastle interested. The former Barcelona star is seen as a player who has not yet reached his potential, while having a number of dominant performances under his belt, notably against Real Madrid in the Champions League. A player who is capable of sitting in front of the defence, playing physical and under control, Nico appears to fit the bill of the kind of number 6 Iraola deployed at Bournemouth, while being a step up over Tyler Adams and Alex Scott. Some could argue that a player-for-player deal would not be worth it for Liverpool. McAllister is likely to be worth more than Nico on the open market, with the Reds potentially even securing around $20 million in the deal alongside the Spanish midfielder. Although Liverpool will lose Curtis Jones, it still has Gravenberch, Nyoni, Dominic Szoboszlai, Florian Wirtz and Harvey Elliott capable of playing in the middle. Adding Nico would give the Reds the true defensive midfielder they've missed since Fabinho, while opening the door for another potential box-to-box midfielder, or simply allowing Nyoni to play more minutes in his natural position and ease him into the first team. Liverpool cannot let McAllister leave as a free agent, as it did with Alexander-Arnold and Konate. The Reds must act soon to extend his contract or strongly consider advances from elsewhere. Liverpool transfer news as $82 million target weighs options and Bournemouth stance emerges. Liverpool transfer news and rumours include the latest on Ibrahim Mbai's future and the Reds' reported interest in Bournemouth midfielder. Liverpool may be returning to Premier League action this weekend, but plenty of focus is still on the transfer window and the work the club must complete in the final week before the deadline. Andoni Iraola will oversee his first competitive fixture in charge of the Reds on Sunday, as his side takes on Newcastle United at St James's Park. In the meantime, the club's hierarchy will be scrambling to complete its transfer business before September 1st. So far, only Victor Munoz and Jeremy Jacquet have been signed, with a deal to sign the latter confirmed all the way back in January. Ronald Araujo has also signed on a season-long loan from Barcelona, but it's fair to say a significant amount of work is still needed in attacking areas, as the club is yet to replace former talisman Mohamed Salah. With that said, here's a roundup of some of the latest transfer news and rumours from in and around Anfield. $82 million target weighs up his options. Liverpool has been linked with a number of attackers in recent weeks as it steps up its pursuit of wide options. Bradley Barcola is evidently the top target, but his Paris Saint-Germain teammate Ibrahim Mbaye has also been tipped to move to Anfield this summer. In the latest update from French outlet L'Equipe, it has been suggested both Barcola and Mbaye feel their respective transfer sagas have dragged on for a long time now. Neither player is expected to be part of Luis Enrique's squad for PSG's Ligue 1 opener against Rennes this weekend. While Barcola may be the priority, it could be a concern for Liverpool that the article also indicates Mbaye could turn to alternative options in the final 10 days of the window, given the lack of progress in negotiations. It appears the difference in valuation between the two clubs is the key stumbling block to a deal being struck for the Senegal international. RMC Sport reported on Friday that Liverpool values Mbaye at £43 million, while PSG is hoping to achieve a figure closer to £60 million. While that article in particular suggests the teenager is still keen on joining Liverpool, the two clubs reaching an agreement seems unlikely at this stage. Liverpool.com says if wider reports are to be believed, Mbaye is not the only winger the Reds are pursuing. The bids for Brighton's Yankuba Minte prove as much. That said, both players' reported asking prices are in similar territory, so it's down to the club to decide which represents better value for money. Minte is older and boasts Premier League experience, but is currently out injured and could be sidelined until October or November. Mbai, meanwhile, is much younger but has a high ceiling, and 41 appearances for a team that has won the last 2 Champions League trophies is not to be sniffed at. Bournemouth's stance on midfielders' exit. Also on Friday, Curtis Jones's departure to Italian side Inter Milan was confirmed as the 25-year-old called time on a 16-year career at Liverpool. It appears the Reds' focus remains on strengthening the attack in the final days of the window, but that hasn't stopped links with midfielders from emerging. Some sections of the media over the last week have claimed Iraola is eager to reunite with Bournemouth midfielder Tyler Adams at Liverpool. However, Football Insider claims the Cherries have no plans to let the United States international depart the Vitality Stadium this summer. The article adds Bournemouth will stand firm on that stance, despite rumoured interest from Liverpool, as well as clubs elsewhere in the Premier League. Adams is under contract until 2028, so he is about to enter the final 2 years of his deal. Liverpool.com says it's probably fair to say links with Adams have been tentative at best. Midfield clearly isn't the priority this summer, with the attack presenting much more glaring issues. The midfield profile may be a concern among some sections of the fan base, but it can be argued Liverpool is not exactly lacking in numbers this summer. Regardless, Adams' Bournemouth teammate Alex Scott or Crystal Palace star Adam Wharton may be the more exciting candidates Liverpool could go for if and when it decides to invest in midfield reinforcements. 4 wonder kids to keep an eye on this season, including Man United and Chelsea gems. We're taking a look 14 wonder kids who could be about to take English football by storm. There is nothing in football quite like the sudden, electrifying emergence of a teenage prodigy. Big money marquee transfers might dominate the summer back pages and social media feeds, but nothing gets fans off their seats faster than watching a kid who technically still needs a lift to training casually nutmeg an international defender. As the 2026-27 campaign kicks off, a fresh wave of absurd talent is threatening to smash open the break wall. From viral 15-year-olds making non-competitive senior debuts to tactical wildcards ready to snatch a spot in their respective starting X's, these young guns are no longer waiting politely in line for their turn. Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, Anfield and beyond are packed with frighteningly good academy gems, and managers across the top flight are running out of excuses to keep them on the bench. With that in mind, Mirror Football takes a look at 14 wonder kids primed to steal the show this season. Trey Neone, 19, Liverpool Neone, is entering his 4th season in and around the Liverpool first team, remarkable for a player who only turned 19 at the end of June. Much to the frustration of many Liverpool fans, many of whom felt he deserved more of an opportunity, Neone amounted only 237 minutes of first-team football across 14 appearances in all competitions last season. However, Neone has been one of Liverpool's standout players across pre-season and will likely feature much more regularly in the Reds' first team. Ethan Nwaneri, 19. Arsenal Nwaneri is an interesting case, as the midfielder made his Premier League debut almost 4 years ago away to Brentford, but he is still just 19 years of age. Nwaneri has shown flashes of brilliance, notably his wonder goal in Arsenal's 5-1 thrashing of Manchester City in February 2025. However, after limited first-team opportunities in the first half of last season, he found himself on loan at Marseille in search of more first-team football. It was underwhelming to say the least, with the then Marseille manager Habib Beye questioning Nwaneri's commitment and attitude. Nwaneri's potential is undeniable, but this season will be hugely significant in determining his trajectory. Shea Lacey, 19, Manchester United. Throughout his young career, Lacey arguably has not had the rub of the green. Injury troubles have prevented him from getting more first-team experience. His cameo against Brighton in the FA Cup was cut short by 2 yellow cards, deemed by interim manager Darren Fletcher to be poor refereeing. And the crossbar denied him a magical winner away against Burnley in January. Nonetheless, Lacey has talent and confidence in abundance and will seek to demonstrate this season why United have such high expectations for him. Brian Maggio, 17, Aston Villa. The 6'4" London-born striker was acquired by Villa for a £10 million fee in January and has thoroughly impressed throughout pre-season, having scored 4 goals, including a brace against Walsall for the Claret and Blue side. His registration was a source of dispute between Villa and FIFA, and after Villa's appeal was upheld by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, Maggio has been cleared to be registered and can now play competitively, which serves a huge boost for Unai Emery's Aston Villa side. Luca Williams-Barnett, 17, Tottenham Hotspur. Labelled a precious diamond and a special player by Tottenham manager Roberto De Zerbi, Williams-Barnett is certainly a player to keep an eye on in the upcoming season. He registered 6 goals and 5 assists in 10 games in the Premier League 2 after his promotion from the under-18 side, and the 26-27 season could offer the forward an opportunity to demonstrate his talent on a more regular basis in the Tottenham first team. Ryan McAdoo, 18, Manchester City. Andoni Iraola sends Alexander Isak £125 million challenge ahead of hostile Newcastle return. Andoni Iraola says Alexander Isak has to deliver as Liverpool's £125 million striker this season, starting with Sunday's trip to Newcastle United. Andoni Iraola has challenged Alexander Isak to show why he is a £125 million Liverpool striker this season, starting with what will be a hostile reception at Newcastle United on Sunday. Isak endured a miserable first year on Merseyside after arriving for a British record transfer fee on September 1st last year from this weekend's opponents. After a protracted move was finally completed on transfer deadline day, the Sweden international struggled to get himself fit after a troubled pre-season with the Magpies when he effectively went on strike to force his dream move. A leg break in December then kept him sidelined for 4 months, and Isak only scored 3 Premier League goals for Iraola'S as the Reds limped into 5th on the final day of the campaign. The 26-year-old has played a part of every pre-season game since his return to the fold earlier this month, however, and Iraola says Isak has to now deliver at Anfield, beginning with a trip to St James's Park, where the home crowd will almost certainly look to single out their former hero. I think it is a massive season for Alexander, Iraola said. He knows at the end it is about 2 things. The first is availability, and without availability, we cannot have the second thing, which is the performance level. But I think this has to be the first aim for us, to keep him in a good place in terms of being available. I'm sure if we manage to do this, he will perform well because he has been very good during the pre-season. If we can keep him at a good level, he will score his goals and he will be a threat. I have no doubts about his level. I think he's quite a unique number 9 in terms of he can come to receive and be technically very clean, and he can also be very good attacking the space. Sometimes you get one thing or the other, like a player who comes to link up play and sets the others, or a player who is just quick and attacks the spaces, but he can do both. Also, my biggest fight in pre-season has been about our press, how to position, how to help the players that he has behind, and I think he is willing to do it and to understand. He is improving with every friendly we've played. Asked if Iraola had spoken to Isak directly about the difficulties endured last season, the head coach said no. I have a lot of conversations with staff and with players, but I wasn't here last season. You have to be open-minded when you come to a new place and don't be too affected by the things they tell you about what happened before. You have to try to understand the picture, but I think everyone is willing to improve. I haven't spent too much time thinking, okay, this didn't work last season. I've seen the games and I have my ideas, but I prefer to start with a clean slate rather than try to solve the things that didn't work last season. Andoni Iraola fires Liverpool warning to Premier League rivals as he makes transfer vow. Andoni Iraola has warned the Premier League not to underestimate his Liverpool side this coming season. Andoni Iraola has warned the Premier League not to underestimate Liverpool as a new era for the club begins when the 26-27 campaign kicks off at Newcastle United on Sunday. And the Reds boss also insists the club will add to what he feels is an already impressive collection of players before the September 1st transfer deadline. Liverpool start their season this weekend with Iraola just a couple of months into a 2-year deal he signed to succeed Iraola'S, and he arrives during a pre-season period that has seen owners Fenway Sports Group agree to sell 38% of the club to Amit Bhatia's 1892 Holdings consortium that contains the world's 3rd richest man, Jeff Bezos, and Facebook co-founder, the billionaire Eduardo Saverin. FSG's CEO of football, Michael Edwards, stepped down earlier this summer, and sporting director Richard Hughes is expected to join Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal when the transfer window closes next month. On the pitch, the Reds have lost Mohamed Salah, Andy Robertson and Ibrahima Konate from the end of last season, and Curtis Jones last night joined Inter in a £30 million deal. That level of change at various levels of the club has left Liverpool heading into the campaign with few predicting them as genuine challengers for the Premier League title. Iraola, though, says his squad is elite and believes his players can push back against anyone doubting their ability for the year ahead. Yes, I can feel a little bit that people underestimate us, the 44-year-old said. Because of the questions you ask me, we have to value the good players we have. Sometimes the players are here for 3 or 4 seasons and we are not aware how good some of our players are. I know this is the situation. The market is not closed. Still, we have more time to add players. Probably we have the advantage that I'm not new and I value a lot of the players I have here. I can tell you that I'm very confident in terms of the quality of the players I have. Pre-season has confirmed what I expected from most of the players. You enjoy being part of the training and seeing them perform well. Probably a little bit of this negativity is about the fact we have a tricky situation with long-term injuries. We have 4 very good players who had big surgeries: Hugo Ekitike, Connor Bradley, Giovanni Leone, Wataru Endo, that are very good players. If they are available, it puts you and your squad in a much better place. We have to go through this period until they are fully fit. We knew it from the beginning, and I hope we can deal with this time. Iraola added, I want to think we're in a place where, although we are not 100%, but we can still start well. I think we're at a level where we can be very competitive from the beginning. Definitely we have to improve, but even if we win the first game, we will need to improve. You're right that it took some time in Bournemouth to get everything clicking, but I hope it takes less time. Even if not 100%, we can be competitive and get results before.